Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Co-Creators Convergence Thursday night conversations. Tonight, we are blessed to have Courtney Bohlman with us for conversation. Really looking forward to this evening. And so happy that all of you are here. And since there's really no such thing as time, everything is the present moment, we know that many of you are watching this at a time different than when we sat together. But we're all in the same time. Thank you for being here, Courtney.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So my name is Bob Warner. My wife, my beloved here, Noelle Marshall, and I call ourselves Light Partners. We partner with light to serve our one sacred life, and it's a joy for us to be able to host these events for the Co-Creators Convergence every Thursday night and the first Saturday of every month. So some of you are new to the Co-Creators Convergence, and so I'm going to play a little 1-minute video that introduces you to the Co-Creators Convergence, and then we're going to introduce Courtney. So hang tight. Here we go. Courtney, thank you so much for being with us this evening. We really, really appreciate it. This is a real delight for Noelle and I personally. I'd like to let you know that Courtney is a student and a teacher that's been on the path for many years, and she has plenty of credentials and certifications in Chinese medicine and plant spirit medicine, Reiki, meditation, mindfulness. She's also traveled the globe in search of master teachers, and is humbled having studied with many of the greats. And she's also kind of here in the 3D world, not spirit world, also advanced her knowledge and inner wisdom through her college education. She has 2 bachelor's, 2 minors, and a master's degree. And now, in the last few years, has created her own company, which is making an impact. It's a organic, vegan, plastic-free company called Wholesome Alchemy, and I'm sure she's going to tell us something about that too. And Noelle and I personally enjoy to have you with us this evening, Courtney. And for everyone's benefit, Courtney and we met at Sunrise Ranch when Noelle and I were spending summers there, a number of summers in a row up until 2019. And Courtney was a community member at Sunrise Ranch, a spiritual intentional community, and also on the staff there. And so it was just a delight to be involved on a day-to-day basis with Courtney and understanding more about her life up until that point, which included public school education teaching in the Denver area. And I know she's going to tell us also about her travel and her support of developing nations around the world, which is really, really special and says a lot about your heart, Courtney. So again, we're just super delighted that you're here, and we're delighted that you're going to lead us in a meditation to get started, a guided meditation, and then share your thoughts, and then look forward to conversations with you later in the evening. So thanks for being here, beautiful.
Thank you, Bob. Yay. Yeah, my turn?
Yeah, your turn.
Okay. Well, I am excited to be here with all of you tonight. I was really looking forward to this and have been creating this space to see what wanted to come through and be shared with all of you. So I have a PowerPoint for myself to keep myself on track. I am a Vata air energy, so I can get really passionate and excited and go on little spurts. So I'll keep myself focused here. So this is the kind of the main theme of what I'm going to be speaking to. One person can change the world. There's so much more kind of entwined within that we're going to be expanding upon together. But I just want to make sure that everybody has a pen and paper. We're going to do some journaling and some kind of expansive writing as we move through this. So just making sure that you have that. Yeah, Bob already introduced me, but just a little bit more about me. At this full screen. So my name is Courtney. I was born and raised in a really small town in Wisconsin, in the beautiful Dairyland of Wisconsin. I went to school at the University of Minnesota and kind of started my educational path, and in that time really started my spiritual path as well. So I started with yoga and really kind of dove down those two avenues pretty intensely, both teaching, educating, and understanding yoga for myself. First and foremost, it took me many, many years before I became a teacher. It was more of I feel like a kind of forced experience to start teaching yoga because I had a lot of knowledge and a community asking that of me. And I finally said yes, which has been my experience for a lot of my path. I used to struggle a lot with kind of feeling that bravery to step into what I was learning. And I feel very grateful that I was always surrounded with amazing people who believed in me and really pushed me forward to speak my truth and to offer my gifts and my wisdom. And that led me to, what I'm up to today. So my company, Wholesome Alchemy, we just turned 2 years old a couple months ago. So we're still pretty young, but, doing amazing things in the world. Originally started as a organic product company line, and it's transitioned now to have online courses, group like coaching programs specifically for women. And then I lead 6 retreats a year, both domestic and international, one of which is at our schools in Africa that I'll kind of expand into. And yes, some of my students there, one of those pictures on the top, some of my beautiful community members that went to my recent retreat in Colombia. And then that's my little fur baby, Chloe. She deserves to be on here because she's 11 and she's been with me through it all. So sending us the wrong way. There we go. Okay. So I want to lead us in a guided meditation before I really dive into my presentation, to just make sure that we are all fully arrived, fully present, and ready to create and be together in this beautiful space. So to get started, if you guys all just want to close down those eyes and shift your awareness to your breath, really allowing that breath to deepen, to lengthen, to expand. And utilizing your breath to bring you fully into the space that you are in, into your body, into this present moment that we have together tonight. This meditation itself is going to be a guided meditation to really feel that energy body within you. Remembering how to touch in, tap into it, knowing that it is always available for you. And that when we exist in this space, we always know our next step. We always know where to head, where to go. We just have to trust and we have to listen. So as we can continue to stay with that deep and steady breath. Start to shift your awareness to all of the sensations in your body. And as you feel into the body, noticing if there is any tension or stress. Checking in with your belly, your hips, your thighs, your legs, your knees, your shins, calves, ankles, and feet. And if you feel any stress or any tension in these areas, allowing that to flow out of those legs, out of those feet, into the air around you to dissolve. And then feeling into that chest, those shoulders relaxing, relaxing those arms, elbows, forearms, hands. And if there is any stress or tension, allowing that to flow out through your fingertips, dissolving into the air around you. And beginning to soften and relax the neck, the jaw, softening the face, the temples, the forehead, all the way down that scalp. Completely releasing and relaxing here. And if there is any tension and any stress, allowing that to move down the body, out the legs, out the feet, evaporating into the air around you. Taking another full and deep breath into this space of complete relaxation in your body. And now I want you to feel into your heart. And to see your heart as this vibrant, bright light. And as your heart pumps, visualizing this light being pumped out into your body. Filling you with this light energy. Filling you with your light energy. Allowing it to completely expand, to completely fill you. A deep breath into this. And on that next inhale, bringing that light energy back in towards the center, towards your heart, condensing that light into a ball, maintaining that brightness and that energetic expansion. And then allowing this ball of light to travel up through the neck, all the way up to the crown chakra and out of the top of your head. This light energy, this essence that is you, witnessing it unfold into the space around you. Expanding and breathing into and feeling into what it feels like to be this light energy outside of your physical form, without the weightedness of your body, to be light, to be free. And for a few breaths here, allowing this light energy that is you to expand and to travel wherever you feel called right now. Light and free. Love and spaciousness. And on your next inhale, beginning to call yourself back. Bringing that light energy back into your body. Allowing it once again to fill you, to expand you. And then beginning to deepen that breath. Really connecting back in with your body. This beautiful vessel that carries you through your life, so that you can bring your gifts to our world. One moment of gratitude here for this beautiful body and all that it allows. And then one more full and deep breath into your heart center. And as you feel ready, slowly beginning to open those eyes, returning to this space together. So my big question for you, do you really know how much you matter in the world? How much your unique impact is needed? How much your gifts are needed? How much your truth is needed? How much you are needed? And recognizing in this that when you are brave enough to show up as who you are, you can change the world. And it's as simple as being who you are, exactly as you are. So I want to share with all of you a small part of my story, a part of my story that really sent me down the path that I'm currently on, a part of my story that really changed the direction of the path that I was headed, that changed my life, really. So I was a school teacher for 10 years. In and out of public schools and private schools. I taught at spiritual schools, and through it all, with the exception of the last school that I taught at, I got to see firsthand how broken our school system was. And I tried to find any solution I could to still be a teacher without having to teach inside of a broken system that I no longer believed in. I actually have a memory of my first year teaching when the principal called me in to the office to tell me I was teaching my kindergartners too much individuality. Kindergarten. So in this process of moving through these different school systems and experiencing these same limiting systems and beliefs, I had this full-on realization that one of my missions in life was to totally break down the school system as we know it. And it's still a mission. And I'm stepping closer slowly and slowly and slowly. But this part of my story really started at an education symposium with beautiful thought leaders from all over the world. And at the time, I was really struggling with what I wanted to do as a teacher, because I could not find a school that I fit in, that I felt like I could make a real impact, that I felt like I could be myself, that I belonged in, right? That story that most of us go through throughout our lives. So I was at this symposium, listening to all of these incredible thought leaders sharing about their experiences of education and the shifts that they were making in the world and the changes that they were making in the world, because they were brave enough to stand for something different, to stand for change, and to not back down. And I was so inspired. And anybody who knows me, which a few of you do, I'm a crier. I feel a lot. And when my emotions just hit that peak, I just start to cry. So believe it or not, I was crying through this entire symposium, to the point I remember needing tissue because I was snotting and everything, crying, just so moved in my entire being by what was being shared. And that part of me that was longing to bring something different was just waking up in the most profound way, because I was seeing for the first time that there were people actually doing something different, actually creating something different that was working, that was lasting, that was making an impact. And everything in me was like, yes, this is it. This is what you're going to do. You're going to be a part of this. And so I listened to all of these incredible speakers. And then there were some speakers from Africa who shared about the struggle of no money and poverty and no clean water and no food and all these issues with really everything, no supplies. And something in me just knew that this was it. This was the next thing that I needed to do. And so after the presentation, I connected in with this woman and was like, I don't know how, but I'm going to help you. I'm going to do something. And I was just so fired up. And I was like, I can do it. I've been a school teacher. I've also education. I've been teaching in spiritual schools. I know how to, teach teachers. I know all of these things. And please let me help. Please let me help. I want to help, as I'm puffy eyed, swollen face, because I had just been weeping for 2 hours. So it was late for me, but I was so excited. I was so pumped up. And I remember hopping online and looking up this school, seeing the application and just applying. I didn't wait for my recommendation letter. I just knew within me, like, this is it. And I need to do it now before somebody else gets this opportunity. So I applied and went to sleep that night and was just like, all right, like the universe, if this is what's meant to happen, this will happen for me. And I woke up to a phone call at about 5:30 a.m. So I slept for like maybe 5 hours from the headmaster from this school. And I answered the phone, not realizing, what was about to happen. And just right there on the phone call, we did an interview and he offered me the position. And he said, but you have to start in 2 weeks. Can you do that? And instantly I was like, yes, I can do that. And, like the rational mind would have been like, there's a lot of details to figure out, but everything inside of me was like, yes, this is what's happening. This is what you're meant to do. And so, there's a lot of details in that. I have to get time off. I was teaching and working at Sunrise Ranch at the time. I had an apartment in Denver, a 1-bedroom by myself, really nice, recently remodeled apartment. So like expensive rent. I have a dog, a beautiful little dog. Like I had a lot of things that I needed to sort out, but hey, in our lives where most of us stop that flow of life because of those details, because our mind, it can get in the way and it can say, wait, you need to have an answer for this, and this before you can say yes to this. And then by the time you have the answers, this opportunity has passed. It is gone, or someone else has moved into that space because we cut off that flow of life, those opportunities. And the beautiful thing is that when we say yes to life, the universe and life says yes back to us, and it all unfolds. If we give a big yes, it always works out. But we grew up in a society that we were taught, and this is my struggle with the education system, it's all about the intellect. It's all about our mind, and our mind has the answers, and we have to think everything through, have perfect clarity before we do anything. And then we just miss all of the opportunities and all of the experiences in life. And I'm so grateful, and I don't know why I've had this connection with my intuition, but I have my entire life. I have had these magical moments that have just redirected my life path. And I just said yes. Every time I said yes and yes. And at this point in my life, I had had so many of those magical moments that I knew that my yes would be supported. And it was supported in a bigger way than I could have imagined. The first thing I did after getting off that call was call my landlord. And of course, they supported me. They were like, because my first question was like, can I sublease my apartment? Or could we maybe do like pay half rent? Or I could maybe make my payments when I get back from Africa. And they were like, Courtney, like, this is amazing what you're doing. We believe in you. We want to support you. You don't have to pay rent while you're gone. And this was 3 months working or living in Denver. So this was like a lot. This was a big investment they were making in me. But they were like, no, we don't want anything. We just want to hear about what you do and the change that you make. Whoa, okay, that's amazing. The next thing I did was I called my school, and my principal was like, you know what? We have a teacher that we're considering for next year, but we aren't totally sure. So we want to have her practice in the classroom. She can take your classroom over while you're gone. So we don't have to commit to a whole school year, and we can see how she does at our school. Boom. I remember talking to my manager at Sunrise Ranch, who was like, yeah, you can go to Africa. And if you want to keep working, you can out. But I actually ended up making more money while I was in Africa than I did when I was living in the States, because I didn't have to pay rent. And of course, my parents took my dog. So all of these things that easily could have stopped me from saying yes in that moment just unfolded. The universe said yes, because my yes was so big, so confident, so full. And even though I had this big, beautiful yes, I didn't have a lot of support in my world. I had a good amount of support at Sunrise, but for the most of my world, there were a lot of skeptical people because we are fed. And don't get me wrong, there are some really horrible things that are happening in Africa, but we are fed this very, very, very limited perspective and version of what's happening in Africa. And so there's a lot of fear around that continent and the beautiful, amazing country and people that live there. And that was what I was receiving from most people, was this fear around Africa and what was going to happen to me. You know, you're white, you're little, you know, you don't speak any other languages, like all of the things, all of the limiting beliefs, but I didn't listen. And I honestly didn't feel any fear until I was on the airplane. So I was on the airplane on the way to Africa, and those were those moments of like, oh shit, like, what did I just agree to? And it happened so fast. Like I said, it was 2 weeks, a 2-week span. And all of a sudden I was there. I was going to Africa, and I landed, and I got picked up by this man that is now like a co-service worker in the world with me, but I didn't know him. You know, I didn't know anybody or anything. And I'm heading down to the camp. So this school is inside of Budabaram. So Budabaram is a refugee camp that's in Ghana, and it's for the Liberian refugees. So this camp itself started in 1990, after the war broke out in Liberia, and it just wasn't safe for people to be there anymore. And so they traveled across another country to get to Ghana to have this refugee. And at the time, the Ghanaian government was so supportive. They gave them, you know, some supplies to build shelters and food and water and some resources so that they weren't really struggling in that space. But fast forward, right? This was 1990. There are now around 60,000 people who live inside of Budabaram. 60,000 people. That is a huge amount. And about 40,000 of those people are Liberian. And the reason that there's like almost like tragicness to this is that those beautiful souls that have been there and have had children there, their children are Liberian, but because they were born in Ghana, they are no longer Liberian citizens. And because they were in a refugee camp, they are not being born as Ghanaian citizens. So they're actually being born without citizenship. And the country of Ghana has these rules in place that a certain percentage of their population is what their jobs go towards. So if you are not Ghanaian, it is very, very, very unlikely that you can get a job in that country. So these families, this huge community, 60,000 people, are basically trapped in these refugee camps because they cannot get work and they do not have the money to go home. And about 10 years ago, the Ghanaian government cut off support of this camp. So they no longer have any resources coming in. So I have a few photos, and photos, I didn't even really get some of deep in the camp, which I'm going to be sure to do this next time I go back. But these photos do not even do justice to what you see. For myself, like, I had seen images, and I remember growing up and being told, like, eat all your food. There's starving children in Africa. I'm sure we've all been told that. But it's not real. It isn't real until you see it. You can even see pictures, and it's still a moment later, it's not real anymore. But when you walk through those camps and you see the poverty and how dirty it is and the struggle and the sickness, it's hard. It is hard. But then at the exact same time, you see connection and you see joy and you see peace and you see a level of happiness that I had never seen anywhere else. So it's this surreal experience of like the craziest levels of poverty and yet the highest level of joy and connection and community that I'd ever seen. And I remember when I was walking through the camp on that first day, there was a little boy that was sleeping in the pathway. So in the bottom kind of right photo, you can see that there's just these dirt pathways throughout the whole camp. And that photo is of the shopping center that's in the camp where they get all of their supplies and their things like that. It's all really cheap stuff from like China and Yeah. But there was a little boy who was sleeping on this path. And I remember the man I was walking with pointed him out to me. And he said, that boy, he's in our school. He's going to be one of your students. And I remember my heart just going out for him because he was so dirty and skinny. And he was just sleeping on the side of the path. And so we kept walking and toured and finally got to the school. And I can say with like absolute certainty that when I walked into that school, that is the most love I have ever felt in my entire life, with the exception of the times that I've come back. But it was the most love I'd ever felt in my entire life. Hundreds of these little souls just wanting to touch me and hold my hands and like kissing my arms, and just beyond grateful that I was there. Being there was enough. Being there was enough. I would have made an impact just by simply choosing to be there, to travel across the world and to be with these beautiful little beings. And for them, I was, I think, the second white person that they'd ever seen at that point. And in a lot of their more tribal belief systems and teachings, white people are ghosts. That's what the belief is. So as I was like walking through the camps and meeting some of the kids, some of them were afraid of me, were actually running away from me because they had never seen or interacted with a white person before. So that in its own, I'm like, I love you. Let me hug you and hold you, as they're like running away from me. That was its own experience. But so school started, and put some of my little cuties up here. So that first day of school started, and I went into a math class. It was 6th grade math. And in that classroom was that little boy that I had seen on the street earlier. Dirty, he was still dirty, he was still tired, he was clearly very hungry. And as the teacher was speaking, he was falling asleep. He was like nodding off in the classroom. And I felt for him so much in my heart, because I knew that how could he be able to focus if he couldn't even have his needs met? Like, I know he didn't get a good night's rest. I know he didn't have breakfast. He's clearly not bathed and clean. And as he was nodding off, and granted, this teacher was presenting in a very boring fashion as well, which adds to it. But the teacher finally saw him, and he walked around behind this little boy, and he smacked him so hard in the back of the head that his face fell forward and smashed on the desk. And he got an instant bloody nose. And then the teacher walked around in front of him and yelled in his face about how stupid he was, how much he was wasting his time, how he never should have came if he wasn't going to pay attention, how he was going to be stuck in this camp for the rest of his life, how he was nobody, how he didn't matter, how he should just go home. And I just stood in the corner watching this as everything I knew just shattered. So my education is all in teaching, education, social work, family violence prevention, youth studies. So my beliefs and my education, everything that I knew, everything that I was the exact opposite of what was happening in front of me. But this man, he was large and he was scary, and I just arrived and I didn't know what to do, and I had to leave. I had to walk out of the classroom, and I was crying. And I remember kind of hiding off in the back of the school and just having this breakdown of like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? Why did I come? How could I ever do anything to create change here? Who did I think I was to say yes to this? And all of the limiting thoughts just came rushing in. And then I finally just got it together, finished out the day, continued to watch these very, very similar things. And then that was the same the next day and the next day. And, in each of these classrooms, you can see one of those pictures. Each teacher had a stick of dried sugar cane, and they would hit the kids across their legs and their chest, their arms, their face when they weren't listening or they weren't paying attention. They would grab them by the cheeks and pull them around the classroom until their cheeks were bruised. And on Black skin, to see a bruise, you have to really cause harm. And that third night when I went back to my home was the smallest version of myself I have ever been in my entire life. I remember laying in bed that night, just crying and crying at the like deepest core level. Like my soul was crying for what I had seen and what I had experienced and what I had watched, because I didn't do anything. And again, all of those thoughts coming in, making me smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And when I finally went to bed that night, I had every intention that when I woke up in the morning, that I was going to book my flight and I was going to go home, because I didn't believe I was supposed to be there anymore. So the next morning I woke up and I don't know what happened, but something changed. Something inside of me changed. And I woke up with this determination that I had that moment I had said yes at the beginning. And something within me kept saying, you are in Africa. You are in Africa right now. You just flew across the world to serve these children and these teachers. You have to try. You have to try. You haven't even tried. Even if they don't care what you have to say, you have to try. You didn't come here for nothing. You have to do something. And I was like, all right, yeah, I have to try. And so I did. I showed up in these classrooms, and after class, I would connect with the teachers and I would ask them questions about, let's look at the behavior that child had and look at the response that you gave. Do you feel that those are equal? I got to start teaching workshops after school every night with the teachers, and on the weekends, sharing what I had learned, teaching them about the different learning styles, that there's 7 different ways that people and children learn, and they are not all auditory learners. So speaking at the majority of these children, that is the 3rd highest learning style. So the majority of these children do not even learn that way. We can teach them visually. We can teach them kinesthetically. They can touch these things. They can hold these things. Teaching them how to get outside of the classroom, that you don't have to sit in this little brick wall. You're teaching them about a tree. Go to that tree, have them touch that tree, have them feel that tree, have them engage with that tree. I remember teaching them about the importance of setting the tone in the classroom. And I didn't word it like that. But those teachers, they didn't want to be there. They were also tired and hungry and exhausted. And I remember speaking to them about how the way that they show up is the way that the students are going to show up. And so if they are bored and they are angry and they don't want to be there, their students will not want to be there. And that they had to have fun as a teacher if they wanted their students to have fun. But the biggest change that I made, it wasn't these talks, it wasn't these workshops, it wasn't these presentations I gave. It was who I was. It was who I was. Because I know with everything within me that the only way that change can actually happen is by choice. We cannot force change. We've seen that time after time after time. I mean, that's what war is. We come into these countries, we force change, we leave, and it goes exactly back to where it was. For change to actually last and consistently move forward, people have to choose it for themselves. So I didn't once tell them that what they were doing was wrong. I just showed them a different way. I showed them how to be compassionate with these children. I showed them how to teach differently, how to speak differently, how to show up differently. I was an example. Right? Be the change. Be that example in the world. And that's what I did. And they responded and they listened and they started making those changes for themselves. Before I knew it, teachers were coming up to me after every single class asking me, how do you think I should handle this? How do you think I could have done this differently? This is what I did. Or I have this really great idea of how I can teach them in a different way. What do you think about this? And we started connecting and growing and expanding, and they got excited for the first time ever to be teaching, to be working with these kids. And so these kids were excited and having fun and learning, like actually learning for the first time ever. And it was so beautiful, so amazing. And it was slow, right? It took time, and it is still taking time for these changes to be made. But finally, my months there were coming to an end, and I had one more opportunity to present to the teachers. It was the last Saturday that I was there. And I remember going into it like, this is it. This is it. Whatever you have to say it now. And I remember going into that talk and standing at the front of the room. And I was channeling, like, everything I had prepared came through the most eloquent and beautiful way I could have ever imagined. And it just flew with passion and power and inspiration. And it was energetically changing everything that was happening in that space. And I couldn't even tell you everything I said, but I do remember the key message was really speaking to them about choosing change. I remember asking them, why are all of you here today? Why are you in this refugee camp today? And of course, they all said, because of war, because of violence. And then I remember asking them, do you think that war and violence is the answer? Do you think it creates change? And they all said no. And then I remember the next question I had for them was, okay, if you know that violence is not the answer, then do you think that violence is the answer with these children? Do you think that that's how this change is going to happen in this school system, through violence? And of course, they all said no. And I remember expanding on how, because throughout my months there, every time I would ask them about something, their response was, well, this is Africa. This is Africa. This isn't America. We do things differently. And so I addressed that in that talk. I said, yeah, this is Africa. But in America, we also used to do things differently. We also used to hit our children and our students. And we saw that it didn't work and that we needed to change and do something different. So there were enough brave teachers and beings who said enough, who created a different experience, and then the school system changed. So if you know that violence is not the answer, you can be that change in Africa. You can be the teachers that make a difference. You can be the teachers that change the way education is in Africa. You can change Africa. And that man, which is the man in the white shirt on the far left from that first class that I went into, he was the first person to stand up with a single tear falling down his cheek. And he looked me in the eyes and he said, I didn't know. I didn't know. But now I know. And I will do it different. I will change Africa. And slowly, every single one of those teachers stood up and said, I will be the change in Africa. I will be the change in Africa. And I'm really proud of them because they're doing it. They teach workshops at the school now on the weekends, and they teach other teachers in the refugee camp different learning styles. They teach them different teaching styles. They have workshops also on the weekends for the parents, teaching them compassion-based discipline. And things are changing, not just in this school, but in all of the schools in this refugee camp. And I'm really proud to say that there's now a second location of this school in the refugee camp. And when I got back from Africa, I was so fired up. I was so fired up to help and to create change and to serve them, because I was privileged. I was born in America as a white person, and all of the privileges that gave me. And I wanted to help. I wanted to do something with what I was born into. I am no different. I am no better, but I was born into privilege. So I was on the phone every single day, calling people, trying to get grants and funding. And the first big sponsor we got was LifeStraw. So we got clean water in our schools, and it took me talking to 17 different people before someone finally said yes, but I would not give up because I wanted those children to have clean water. And now we have protein powders in our schools. We've actually partnered with American House, and they've donated iPads. They pay for the internet at the school, and we have a English exchange program. So the elderly, beautiful elderly folks in these nursing homes are connected with students in these schools, and they practice English together for those kids. And then these elderly folks have connection, they have support, they have love. And so they're both benefiting from this beautiful exchange that is happening. And yeah, like I said, we've opened another school. We have a school in Liberia now, because these are Liberian refugees. So we have a school in Liberia now. And in this process of trying to get funding and grants and to make change for these beautiful souls, I had experienced a lot of anger. I remember getting very, very angry that people did not want to help. People didn't care. A lot of people did not care. And I was so upset. I could not understand how these companies that had all of this money just couldn't care and didn't want to do anything. Until one day I had this very crystal clear aha moment of like, oh, that's because this is mine to do. This isn't theirs to do. They have other gifts and things that they're meant to bring into the world. This is mine to do. This is why I care so much. This is why I'm passionate. So what am I going to do about this? And that's why I started my company. That's why I started Wholesome Alchemy. So we started as a product company. We source our oils directly from these regions that we serve in Africa. And I use my Ayurvedic knowledge to, create these recipes. And then as these products sell, we cycle this money back into our schools, back into the school systems. And my dream is it is a dream right now, but it will be a reality. We're going to open at least 10 schools in developing countries around the world. I have absolutely no doubt that we will be opening at least 10 schools around the world. But I learned quickly that the product line was not enough. It was a lot of hard work. And especially with COVID these past few years, it was really hard to get our oils. And so I had to expand. And so I had been teaching and leading the spiritual programs at Sunrise Ranch for 6 years. I've been a yoga teacher for about 10 years at that point. And I saw that the next natural transition for me was to open my company into really offering what my gifts were. And so we started with our online courses. And then we expanded into retreats. So we now lead 6 international and domestic retreats a year all over the world. One of which of these retreats is a karmic retreat for people in our community who want to work with these children in person, can come with us to Ghana and work in our schools. And this coming year, our next one is in February. We're going to do a garden project. So I hired an amazing soul to come out and to help teach these children and these teachers and to plant gardens on the plots of land that we've been able to get so that we can have a food source. Instead of all of the money going into the food program, we can grow our own food, and these children can have an opportunity to learn how to grow food and to have that experience of nurturing and growing and creating something for themselves, and all of the emotional expansion that brings and all of the wisdom and knowledge that brings. So that's our next big move really for those schools is to get our gardens grown. And then the most recent expansion is our women's programs. And it was this understanding that I had to continue to give into my world if I wanted to receive from my world, so I could continue to give into my world, which is these schools and these educational systems. And my whole life has been this like veering. I'll get really excited and passionate. All of a sudden I'll move to India for a second, and then I'll get really excited and into it. And then I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, okay, here, I'm going to go over here now. And then I'm going to go over here. And I was just like shooting around on all of these paths until finally the creation of Wholesome Alchemy is every single path connecting at a point. I have the opportunity to bring every single thing that I have learned in my lifetime to this company and to all of the areas within it. And it has been just a profound experience of trust, of trust and intuition and dreaming and dreaming. So this is the school in Liberia. They are hand making those blocks with the resources in the area and some of these beautiful students that we get to serve. And this was actually the village of the headmaster and the leader of the schools, that the man that started the schools in Ghana. This is his village, and that's why we chose this as the next location to give back to him and his community and these beautiful souls that, you know, deserve a chance if they want it, you know, for a different life. Again, it's choice, right? We can't force anything, it's choice, but they want it and they love it and they deserve it, right? We all deserve it. Education, food, water, all of these things. And I'm really grateful for LifeStraw and all these companies that have partnered with these experiences as well and have been able to give back and to help these children have this experience as well. So life presents us with a lot of opportunities. And all we have to do is say yes. All we have to say is yes. And the moment that we say yes, the universe backs us. We don't need to know the how of everything. We just have to say yes, and we have to trust, and we have to step, and we have to be brave, because that's the thing. It's bravery. It's the bravery to actually move in the direction of life that is calling you forward, that is calling you to create and to bring your gifts into the world. And sometimes we don't even know what is about to happen, but within us, we know that it's ours to do, that it's our step to take. So all we have to do is be brave enough to say yes. And that's the hardest part, is that initial yes. Because once we say it, life unfolds. The opportunities come, the experiences present themselves, the people arrive, everything that you need comes, but you have to say that big, full yes with all of your heart and all of your being, and then the universe backs it. It is a profound experience. So I want to just take a minute of reflection here. And as we do this reflection, reflecting with awareness, without any judgment at all. The past is the past. Now we have an opportunity to learn from the past. We don't need to have any judgment or negative feelings or anything about what we've been through and opportunities that may not have come through because we didn't say yes. So this first question is that I want you to just think about if you have ever been presented with an opportunity that scared you and that you let that fear stop you. And why? Why was that? Why did it scare you? So I'm going to just set a little timer for you guys to really look deep, look at your past, look at an experience that could have probably, you're never going to know, but could have probably been incredible if you would have been brave enough to say yes and to step. So just a few moments of reflection here. So finishing that up. And then the next question I have for you is, now I want you to look at an experience in your life where you were presented with an opportunity that scared you and you still said yes. And what happened? What happened because you said yes? So we're going to take just a few minutes to reflect on that. So the reality is that we live in a world of infinite possibilities and support. But a big part of why so many people get stuck is because we don't actually create enough space for ourselves to dream of something outside of the experience that we are born into. We get stuck because we just accept what we've been given instead of dreaming of something more, of something bigger. We allow life to happen to us instead of choosing, instead of stepping in that role of a creator, which we all are, a creator of our life and our reality. and we just exist. We just stay safe. We just settle. We just accept. And so a big part of what is missing in the world is that space to dream and to vision of, what do I really want to do? What could I possibly do in the world? Knowing I can do anything. Because without that space, nothing can come through. So that space is so valuable and so important on our journey. And I say this without judgment of any life experience that any of us have been on. But there's always more. There is always more that we can bring, that we can do, that we can be in our world. Our dreams are important. We are important. I love this quote by Christopher Reeve. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible. Then they seem improbable. And then, when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. It's so real. It is so real. This has been my life experience. Wholesome Alchemy was a dream. Those schools were a dream. Finding sponsors was a dream. Retreats were a dream. Creating actual change in the world, those were all dreams. But I believed them so deeply and fully, but that they had no choice but to come true. I wasn't accepting anything else for myself and for those children and for my world. And it wasn't easy. I had a lot of limiting beliefs. I grew up with a lot of its own limitations, without a lot of money and taking out loans and all these things. But I stepped every single day, and I carried a dream, and I imagined a life bigger than the life I was born into. So dreamers are the ones who have the courage and the creativity to see beyond what is to what can be, to make a difference in their own life and the lives of others. And we all can do it. We just have to be brave enough. We just have to dream. We have to be willing to imagine something different than what we've been told. And it all begins with a dream. And nobody's going to follow your dreams for you. You're the only person in the world who can create your dreams and your gifts into the world. You, your body, your mind, your heart, your spirit, your unique, everything that you are. You're the only person who can bring it, and we need it. Every single one of us has something so special to bring. And it starts with that dream, that potential of who we could be one day if we just were brave enough to step in that direction. And the truth is, if we don't dream and we don't step, the world will be less. Because the world just missed out on whatever you had to offer, whatever I had to offer, whatever each being on this planet has to offer. Because it matters. Every one of us is needed, and every one of us has something so, so, so special to bring. We get one chance at this lifetime, at your life. What are you going to bring? What are you going to create with it? To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people just exist. So are you ready? Or maybe you are already truly living a life that brings you joy and excitement and creates change, right? Creates change not just for you, but for our entire world, because our dreams are meant to contribute to the world around us. If your dream came true today, would it impact more than just you? Are you dreaming big enough to remember that we are all one, and that our dreams and our gifts are service to our world, to humanity, that we are the change by being who we are, bringing our gifts and serving our world through them? And that's the problem today, that we've stopped serving each other. We've forgotten that we are all one. We've grown up in a society that teaches us to stop serving each other, to choose ourselves, to be greedy. That life's a competition, right? You have to win. You have to beat everybody else, and you have to win. We forgot what co-creation, love this group, what co-creation is, what it means to actually contribute whatever your gift is when the moment is right for you to contribute. And then to hold space when it's that other person's beautiful moment to contribute and bring their gifts and to continue to co-create and to build and to expand and to live a life of service in a world that so deeply deserves and needs our service. And it can be a dream of any size. It doesn't have to be opening schools in Africa. It could be opening a restaurant where you can create these delicious meals that are going to impact people, or a houseless shelter, or becoming an artist and creating art that touches souls and changes lives and impacts people the moment they see that what your gift is. Whatever it is, it's yours, and it matters, and we need it. So when's the last time you let yourself dream? To imagine a life that you can't wait to wake up and experience and live for yourself. A life that's actually worth living, a life that matters and creates change in the world. We did it as kids. I remember how many times I asked my students, what do you want to be when you grow up? Which as a child, we don't know. But there's this little girl, it's coming up for me. Actually, it comes up for me a lot when I speak to this, but this little girl, Jackie, that I used to work with, who I remember asking her that, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she told me, I want to be a pink crayon. And most other teachers would have been like, you can't be a pink crayon, be something else. But I asked her, why? Why do you want to be a pink crayon? Why do you want to be a pink crayon? And she said, because pink crayons make me happy. Because pink crayons bring joy. When you see pink, you can't be sad. They're exciting and creative. And I want to be a pink crayon. I want to bring joy to my world. And I remember being like, yeah, I hope you get to be a pink crayon one day. Like, I want that for you. And it's beautiful because fast forward, she's 18 now, and she's an artist. She just started her first semester in art school, and she has 2 doctors for parents who did not believe in her dream, who did not support her dream, who still struggle to support that dream. But I've been on her side every step of the way. And when she needed someone to help hold that vision and that dream, I was there for her every single time. And now look at her. And unfortunately, not all of us have someone there to help us hold the vision, to help us hold the dream. And that's why communities like this are so important and so beautiful, because we can't do it on our own. We're not meant to do it on our own. It is exhausting to do it on our own. And that's why we have to co-create. We have to dream together, expand together, create and build together. Because the truth is, if you dream it, the universe is going to help you create it. So it's time to dream. I just want to take like a minute and a half right now. I want you guys to just close your eyes, and I want you to dream. I want you to dream of the biggest dream that you can possibly dream for your life. Don't let the mind limit you. Don't let it tell you that's not possible. You can't create it. Just dream as big as you possibly can as to what you want to serve the world with through your gifts and your offerings. Just dream. Have some space right now to just dream. So holding on to that dream within you and recognizing that your life is your creation. Whatever you have believed, the universe has backed you in creating it. So when we believe small things, we create small things. When we dream and believe big things, we create big things. So we have this dream, right? We've created it in our mind. So what do we do next? We have to move that dream into our body, into our heart. We have to do something with it. We have to believe it. We have to feel it. We have to know it as our truth. In every single ounce of our being, we have to know that this dream is possible. And the moment that we meet that level of belief, the universe says, yes, I will create this dream with you. So now, however far you got with that dream, I want you to take a minute right now to believe it and embody it and feel it in every single ounce of your being right now. Close those eyes, bring it in the heart, bring it in the body, and feel it. So holding that dream, feeling that belief and that dream, so that universe responds to your certainty. So now what do? We've thought it, it's been in the mind, we've felt it in our heart. And the next step is that we have to actually take action. We have to utilize this physical form, right? This physical reality that we exist in, and we have to create these dreams into the world. And this is the scariest part, because before this step, it has all been inside of you, where it is safe. Others can't see it, others can't touch it, others can't judge it. But when we create it into the world, there is a fear that naturally comes with it, because now the world sees it, and the world isn't always nice. But if you believe in that dream enough, none of that matters. We get to co-create and co-participate with the universe, and we get to bring our gifts into the world. And so we just have to take one step. Often this dream can be so big that it overwhelms us, and it can paralyze us sometimes because it's so big. But what we have to do with that dream is that we have to let it inspire us. And we don't need to know every single step of how we're going to get there. We just need to know where we're going, and we need to know the next step. One step. That's all we need. One step. So, for example, if you want to be a musician, that one step could be taking a lesson to learn how to play the guitar. If you want to be an artist, maybe go buy some paint supplies. If you want to open a houseless shelter for the folks in your area, right? Because they're not homeless. Homeless where the heart is. We don't know that's their truth. A houseless shelter, maybe you just go volunteer and you learn what you can. So what is a practical first step that you can take in your life this week towards your dream? Okay. So one more minute, I'm running out of time. One more minute, creating that practical first step for your dream. Starting now. And recognizing that everything below your dream is just a learning point. Failure is a part of success. It's an opportunity to grow and expand and become who we're meant to be. And from this moment forward, calibrating everything to who you are becoming and living as that person. Because the truth is, the person that we are right now didn't create that dream. They can't create that dream. We have to become the person that will create it. We have to be brave, and we have to grow and expand and change so that we are large enough to hold the vastness of the dreams that we hold within us. We have to grow. We have to expand. That is a part of this beautiful journey. And the reality is, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. And I'm sure that you guys have experienced that in your life. But it's worth it. It is worth it. And one day, if you've taken all those steps, you're going to be in the dream. I'm in the dream. I have no idea. I can't believe I'm in the dream, but you're going to be in the dream, and you're going to look back and you're going to be like, wow, every single part of that was worth it. All of that hard work was worth it. Because now I get to have this dream. And we have to believe in our power, because what we believe creates our reality, right? So if we believe we're small, if we believe we're tired, if we believe we're poor, that is our reality. So we have to believe in our power, our potential, our intelligence, our strength, our dreams, and you have to believe in you. Nobody can believe in you at the level that you can. You have to do it. And if you don't do it, your dreams won't be created. And we need you, and we need your dreams. So remember that it doesn't matter who says no. It only matters that you say yes. So I'm excited to see the epic dreams and hear the epic dreams that you guys are going to create in the world, because each of you has something so special and so unique and so needed. So needed. So that's what I've got.
Wow. Thank you, Courtney. Wow. Amazing, amazing. I have so many notes that I've made, and so many thoughts and questions to ask, and I want to be a pink crayon. And I didn't know that before, but now I do. So I would like, and I invite everyone that's here to add your video if you like, so we can go into gallery view and have some conversation with Courtney. I'm going to put mine on gallery view right here. And so if you have a comment, question, sharing, something you'd like to share about your reflections, um, I have a lot on my mind from this. Thank you so much. Please just put your hand up. Use the reaction button to put your hand up if you like, or wave at the camera. Noelle also has a few comments I think maybe she'll bring over from Facebook. But let's hear from those that are in the Zoom room right now in conversation with Courtney. Hey there, Roshana. Who would like to share first? Karen, go ahead. You can unmute yourself. Mhm.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just so many reflections, of course. The heart is overflowing. And I just know personally, I really have been shifting in this past 3 weeks to that. Go with the universe, say yes, trust, take one step at a time. And I had this phenomenal unfolding today before this call that just was all those things and put me in a position in this restaurant at this precise moment. I overheard this man say something about heart and children's books, and my ears were perked. And then I thought, I'll just let them be, just this, my little spirits jumping up and down. He was being interviewed, and then he said to the gentleman that was interviewing him, there's a man, Ram Dass, you may have heard of him. And the gentleman says, yes, I have, and I've been a part of Ram Dass's things for a long time. And he shares my favorite quote from him: we're all just walking each other home. We're all just walking the children home. And I just was almost jumping up out of my seat, gave him my business card. He ended up coming over after, and basically the conversation led to all what he does in the news and with children, and how like my heart thread work, like, yeah, we could get that, I would love to get that on the Drew Barrymore show or something. And because of the thoughts I had put out to the universe in these past like 72 hours, it was that thing where you're looking over the shoulder, like, how did this happen? So I'm so moved. You're such an inspiration. I'm grateful because the children need all of us. So thank you so much for what you're doing. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much. There's so many that realize now that empowerment of women and education of girls is the future destiny for our world. Noelle, you had something you want to share?
Yeah, I figured that Karen's first question is, when do we leave for Africa?
I'm signing up for February Ghana, yes.
I knew that. Well, maybe we can plan far enough in advance to join you. I never say never. So, Courtney, that was just an outstanding, beautiful heart presentation. And, I know you've talked about the children in Africa before, but I've never heard you just exploded passion. And I just so appreciate the depth. And, I just have some technical kind of questions, like, how many times have you been there? And, these people, are any of them progressing out of, to get educated? It's wonderful. You talked about how hard it is to get a job. Is any of them being able to progress out of these conditions because of the education and intervention? Just like to know a little reflection on that a little bit.
Yeah, so we're working on getting like sponsorships for some of the kids that are really like going to be able to really like get out and to create change and to really make an impact in the world. So we have some funding and things that are going towards sponsoring children to get out and get a college education and to be able to really get out of the camps and to do something beyond that. Only a few, there's only funding to do that with a couple students, but I mean, that's the dream, like it's kind of like a scholarship application thing that they go through to see who's just the most qualified. And, and willing, and who's been showing up and who's committed and who's going to really do this to have a different life experience for them. But like I said, it's really challenging because it's hard for them to get a job. And if they don't have the college education, they pretty much won't. So that's kind of the next step. And then after that, being able to link them up. And we have some new programs that I'm kind of creating relations with that are hopefully going to help support this and offer opportunities for them. So time will kind of tell with that, because it hasn't been really long enough to bring a child. I haven't been with it long enough to bring a child through university yet. And so kind of we'll have to see what comes from that. But I had 2 trips canceled this year, or this past couple of years, because of COVID. So I actually haven't been back in like a year and a half. And so, yeah, February, we're hoping that it will be, the borders will be better by then. They will be. This trip will happen. We will not have to cancel again. Yeah, we'll be able to hopefully make.
Well, I also want to, one of the great things I think, we enjoy doing is giving a platform for people, like yourselves, to share the work they're doing. And there is an organization called Purpose Earth and Unity Earth that we are associated with, and they give out grants every year.
Oh,
so
cool.
I want to make sure that
we will connect you with that.
We'll connect you with that, with Purpose Earth. You can look up purposeearth.org. They have a scholarship. They give it, I think it's $10,000 or $15,000.
Beautiful.
And they give it to people around the world, and you can look at past winners. But I'm going to make sure that we know the founders of that. Make sure that we get you connected. Can't
plug me in, please.
But I can promise you a connection, because that's what
and a testimonial.
And a testimonial. All they have to do is watch this, and the testimonial is done. So
Right.
So
okay, thank you. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. If anybody else wants to jump in.
Yeah, anyone else like to have a conversation with Courtney? That would be wonderful. Yeah, Taylor, if you can unmute yourself.
Taylor.
There we go. Figured it out. Courtney, I just wanted to say that was so inspiring, and just going into like hearing about the detail of all the work you've put in and all the beautiful like rewards that have come through it, that have bloomed through, is awesome. And that you're going there and taking a gardener. It makes me really want to get involved. I think knowing all these, I'm so excited, like all the layers underneath it was just so amazing. And also at the end there, you don't let people tell you no, it just matters that you say like yes, that you're saying yes, like just was the cherry on top. Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. I'm so glad you're here.
One of the things that struck me was somewhere in the description, later in the description of your time there, you used the expression that you have privilege. And you have white privilege. I mean, so you were a ghost when you showed up, one of the early white people in their lives, and but you used the expression white privilege, and it just struck me how significant that is on the world stage. In this country, we're being programmed more and more to have that be the phrase white privilege be a political football and divisive thing. We just, in our little community here of Tennessee, we've made national news because the 16-year high school teacher was dismissed because his students wanted to know about white privilege, and he spoke about it, and he was fired. 16-year public school teacher. And so when you said things, the notes that I made were things like that. People get comfortable. So the zip code that we're born into and the skin color that we're born into, it is so easy to be comfortable, to get comfortable, and then the programming of our society reinforces us to be comfortable in that space. Instead of stepping into the words that you used, of stepping into being a co-creator or a creator, we call it co-creator with spirit, and recognizing the privilege that exists. It's just mind-blowing to me, and the story and benefit that you're being to these communities. Joy, connection, and community, you said, and how significant that is, regardless of the poverty, regardless how much dirt's under their fingernails. The joy, connection, and community are what is what make their life rich. It's what makes their life rich. So thank you for all you've done. Other comments or
Yeah, we
you'd like to
have
share?
some, okay,
Oh.
Roshana, go ahead.
Go ahead, Roshana.
Well, I was just going to add to that, I just looked up our income and just sort of to see what our income is compared to the United States and then the world. And we're like in the 55% range in the United States. In the world, we're in the top 2.4.
Right.
And this is something that Courtney has realized. We are the elite. We are in the whole planet. And I got to hear this talk a couple of years ago when Courtney just got back. I think he'd been back a couple of weeks or something from that trip. And I got to hear it. And what a blessing to hear it again. It's so powerful and just so wonderful. And I'm just so overjoyed what you're doing with your life and how you're inspiring people. And I love you so much.
I love you too.
Great to have you here this evening, Roshana. And Robbie too, back there in the background.
So we did have someone on Facebook watching from Ethiopia. And he said if she has ever visited Ethiopia, can she tell something that he wants to know more about permaculture. He is there teaching, practicing, and promoting permaculture in the southern part of Ethiopia. And I don't know that that's the part that you're familiar with, but
yeah, I haven't been to Ethiopia. Gone on Liberia and like that region, the western region. Permaculture, and I personally don't have all that knowledge. That's why I like hired someone. I actually hired Andrea. You guys probably maybe know her, Vanderbilt. Yeah, so she's gonna be the one who's gonna come out, do the permaculture, do the gardening programs and stuff like that. Yeah, so I don't have that knowledge. It's not really my area of skill set. That's why I'm gonna co-create with someone who has that and that passion behind that. I wish I could offer more there, but it's not my realm.
Wow, I'm thrilled that there's somebody from Ethiopia that's joining in Co-Creators Convergence conversations tonight. What a thrill. Thank you. Please come back often.
yeah, we had a lot of folks drop in. Shelley Darling just said amazing story and energy. Heart, 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 yes. Ashley Diane was watching this guy, Ali Abuzalam, somebody like that. You might know him.
Maybe.
Diego Reyes, he called you his mentor and soul sister. So he sent hello along, hello, and Kimberly Foster also dropped by. So some of your fans,
Sunrise family,
support you. I'm so glad that we could help get this message out a little further for you. And
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I put in the chat purposeearth.org. And
we'll talk to you some more about that. Yeah, check it out.
Right, and you also should probably come to one of our Unity Earth calls on Wednesdays.
Yeah, we'd love to introduce you there.
Introduce
okay.
you.
Yeah, give me all the deets.
yeah. Wednesdays at 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
Eastern.
we'll follow
Thanks,
up with
Wes.
you.
We'll follow up with you.
Thank you.
Yes, and Wes says, good job, Courtney.
Yeah, I just read that.
Connie just joined. Did she want to jump in here? I didn't know whether she had her.
She's popped on and off with video there, so not sure if she wanted to share or
Dr.
ask a
Pamela
question.
Says,
I just wanted to
inspiring.
Sorry, it was a wonderful story, and I'm a crier too, so there's a lot of crying involved, but thanks for the work that you've done, and it's very inspiring.
This is what's
Thank
needed,
you.
and this support of one another. So thank you so much. So best way for people to get in touch with you, Courtney, and we'll wrap up the evening.
More about what you got coming up.
Yeah, more about what you got coming up, opportunities for folks. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Probably by my email, which is, I can put it in this to everybody, but it's just my name at wholesomealchemy.com, my company. And then, to learn more about what we're doing and the things that we're up to, our website, wholesomealchemy.com, has a lot of that listed. The next kind of opportunity to be part of this specific work that we do is that karmic retreat in February. But we also just lead transformational retreats around the world. So I have another one coming up in June that's going to be in Nicaragua. And then we kind of travel all over every 2 months. And then another kind of smaller way to participate, if you want to, is through our product line as well. Kind of started with that, how we source all of our oils from those regions. So we have an 100% organic product care line. We have candles and essential oil blends and soaps and shampoos and body creams and face washes and all that kind of stuff. And we do donate a minimum of 20% of all of our profits towards our schools. And it kind of depends on like how many sales we're getting each month and whatnot, because I have to survive and pay my staff and all of those things. I learned that the hard way the first like year. I was like, give it all away. And then I was like, oh my God, I can't pay my rent.
Well, finding that balance is important.
Yeah, so still working on that balance, but definitely getting better at it. But just know, like, any way that you tap in, through Wholesome Alchemy is a way to contribute to these schools. And we even have just like a donation option on the website for anyone who feels inspired. I know Taylor's actually donated through our website before. And then that goes 100% towards our schools. And just to kind of put that in perspective. So like a donation of $2 will feed one of our children for an entire week. So
Wow.
It goes a long way.
Wow.
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 And now we're going to get gardens, so that'll go towards something else, but
Fantastic. Well, this has just been a joyful, joyful evening, inspirational evening, and for all of us, I know, and just great joy to be with you, Courtney. We really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for your time this evening to get to know Courtney more, the work in the world, be inspired by it, and continue your work. This is the Co-Creators Convergence, which is a place where we celebrate everyone's gift to the shift in humanity. And so thank you for being here, and we look forward to the next time.